At 12 to 5 and up next, the end of private maternity services in Darwin, less than 3 weeks away, and the government has finally today released details of luxury hotel stays for private patients. But private obstetricians, the ones who have been seeing these mums through their pregnancy at the private hospital, they still have a lot of questions about the government's plans, not entirely supportive of what has been proposed. So how's this all going to work if the private obstetricians who've been caring for these mums aren't sure about their role once the babies are born? We're going to find out in just a moment.
Get your footy fix live and ad-free with the ABC Listen app. Whatever footy you're after, we've got you covered. Called by ABC Sports expert commentary team. ABC Sports coverage of the footy on the ABC Listen app.
It's coming up to 10 to 5 and it's 3 weeks until Healthscope's closure of maternity services at Darwin Private Hospital. You remember what a shock this came to parents who'd been paying for private maternity cover for, in many cases, years, and then found out that those services would no longer be available to them. This morning, Health Minister Steve Edgington finally announced details of the government's plan to support private maternity patients in Darwin. Details that mums have been anxiously awaiting. The minister says that privately insured patients will be able to stay at the 𝙍𝙀𝙇𝙬𝙍𝙍 Airport Resort for up to 4 nights after giving birth in Royal Darwin Hospital, and that a midwife would be available to those women and babies. But is it going to work? Dr Jenny Mitchell has been an obstetrician at Darwin Private Hospital for more than 20 years. Dr Mitchell, good afternoon. What did you think of today's announcement from the Health Minister?
Oh, hi, Liz. Well, I was working, so I haven't actually seen actual footage or information, but we've certainly been talking about this hotel option through committee meetings at the Royal Darwin Hospital to try and facilitate some sort of care for our patients postnatally. Certainly interstate, these hospital stays do work, but those hospitals are co-located with the private hospital. So there is a midwife on the floor there that they've leased for the women. So they lease floors in the hotel. They obtain food and services from the hotel, but the midwife is on the floor all the time. If there's a problem with the mum or the baby, then they are able to be immediately transferred back to the private hospital under their private doctor and have ongoing care in the hospital setting. The proposal that we have here in Darwin is not that. There is no co-located hotel near the hospitals, either the public or the private. The proposed model is that our patients, not any public patients who have private insurance, but our private patients who've been here in the maternity section at Darwin Private would go to the hotel. We would then be expected to be responsible for their care and to check them. They're proposing that an independent midwife who is not delivering babies here in the hospital, either privately or in the public, who we have no impact with, who've not been involved with their care, would be available to see the patient for a 20 or 30-minute consultation. And then that would be the only thing that would happen to those ladies while they were in the hotel. But if something happened, then I was actually supposed to be responsible for what's happening to the baby or the mum. And that hotel is a long way from the hospital. There's no private ability to come back to the private like they would interstate. And so therefore, from our perspective, both myself and Alia's perspective, is that we don't think that that is a viable alternative to a private hospital stay. It's not safe. We can't be responsible for what happens at a hotel when a midwife who we have nothing to do with then starts looking after our patients. Our patients don't want that either. Most of my girls that I've been speaking to would rather just go home, have domiciliary midwives come and see them, have me to call and to see them if they need something happening, if they're getting mastitis or their baby's jaundiced, then we would facilitate their care, either readmission to the public or manage them as an outpatient. So, and also from a medical legal point of view, we would be, very difficult to have that sort of situation be covered by our insurance. So if something happened and, a bad outcome insured, we would be liable for that without having influence about what was actually happening at the hotel. So both Alia and myself would not be supporting any of our patients going to a private hotel. If they wish to do that, then they'll be removed from our care. I know the public hospital doctors have got no interest in providing backup services to a hotel. That's not their remit. Once a patient leaves hospital, they're out of their care. So that applies to Alia and I. So yes, great idea, but not really workable from our perspective.
Alia, the other private obstetrician who's been looking after these mums throughout their journey, and I know that the two of you have been fielding a lot of questions as the mums and the families have been trying to get answers from the government, and as we've been trying to get those answers as well. Have you been providing the government with this feedback? Do they know about the concerns that you have?
Yeah, we told them that our position before Easter. And last week, again, we've very clearly vocalised that that's not a workable solution from our perspective, and we won't be providing any services to patients who might choose to go there.
Can you explain in a bit more detail?
Sorry?
So I was just going to say, can you explain in a bit more detail what that means? So under this plan, you've got a mum that you've been seeing throughout their pregnancy. They may now be giving birth at the public hospital because they missed the cutoff for the private. They give birth at the public, and then they take up the opportunity for 4 nights at the 𝙍𝙀𝙇𝙬𝙎𝙏 hotel. Under this plan as proposed by the government, you would continue to provide that obstetric care in those few days afterwards at the hotel.
That's what the government wishes us to do.
You're saying you won't.
Minister was, but from our point of view, no, we don't feel that that is safe. We don't agree that it's a good option, and therefore we won't be providing care for patients in a hotel under that model with an independent midwife. We would consider them discharged to home. And I certainly don't have time, and neither does Alia, to get to the hotel, do a ward round there, and then come back here to work. It's not safe. It doesn't replace what women were getting on our ward with breastfeeding support, midwife with them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, a nursery where the baby, if it got jaundice, would just walk down the corridor into the nursery with our paediatrician. The support that they get from in the ward is in no way replaced by a midwife visit for 20 minutes once a day from a midwife they don't know and who has no association with us.
So, Dr Mitchell, where does it leave those mums who you might have been looking after, who were thinking, okay, I know now where the hotel is. That is sort of the comfort that I want post-birth. For whatever reason, home wasn't the option I was after, and that sounds nice. But now the obstetricians aren't going to continue with that care. Where does it leave them? What care will they have? Just this a single midwife who they may not have had care from previously?
Well, essentially, it's not what I want to do. And I must say my patients that I have that I've got to deliver in the next few months don't actually want to go to the hotel. So, patient choice is they're not interested really. But I would say, look, I don't think it's safe. If you choose to do that, then I can't be responsible for your care.
Will you continue to see them at home? Or they'll be discharged? Will you continue to see them at home, or will they just be discharged from your
normally
care?
My patients, if they deliver in the public and then go home, they're still under my care. They would call me if there was an issue. If they needed a review the next day for their baby and stuff, I'm going to be putting more time aside than I would normally do for them to come back and see me. They still have access to the domiciliary midwifery services provided by Royal Darwin Hospital, and the hospital is certainly trying to expand that to make sure that there is capacity for women to be seen, every second day by the domiciliary midwives who've been doing this for years. But they only work daytimes. They're not available at night. So if there was a problem, rather than calling our ward, which they do now, to speak to our midwives who then call us, they will have to go to Royal Darwin Hospital Emergency Department, be assessed, and then have us called to try and help and manage if anything's a problem. Essentially, that's what's going to be happening for my patients after the end of May.
Dr Jenny Mitchell on ABC Radio Darwin. We're just about at the news at 5 o'clock. But what should have happened? Do you have any idea about what the government should have done differently to make their way through this?
the government knew about this happening way before we did. I don't think they put much pressure on HealthScope to change their mind. There was no offer of any assistance co-locating public patients to the private to try and increase throughput. The federal government, I don't know that they knew about it until it actually got announced. They were possibly going to offer some assistance package like they did in Tasmania, but that was declined, I understand, from the NT government. But now the NT government, rather than just asking for a small package, now want $36 million, which would rebuild half a hospital for maternity services. I'm not sure where that money they think they're going to put, but it's not changing now.
There's much still to understand as all of this sort of continues to change. Dr. Jenny Mitchell, I'm sorry we didn't have longer to speak with you this afternoon. I know you're making time for us in between patients, but we can talk again soon. Maybe something will change ahead of the cut-off date for private maternity services.